call this meeting to order. And I'll welcome Naomi Nunes.
Before Naomi speaks, if we could, I'd like to offer condolences to Ann and family for the loss of her brother, and ask that we take a moment of silence. Okay.
Thank you.
So if you recall last spring, one of my board reports, I mentioned that Naomi was selected out of how many students?
About 150.
Wow. Give or take.
And she had to go through an interview process down at Dartmouth Hitchcock, and she was selected to do summer internship there. So I thought it'd be nice, kind of full circle for her to come and
Very
just
nice, thank you.
let us know what she did.
So, as you know, I'm a senior here in Littleton High School, and last year I was taking Health Science 1 with Mrs. O'Hara, and she gave us the opportunity of, she told us about this news of how like Dartmouth Hitchcock was like sponsoring this whole internship. Come to find out it was only their second year of doing it. So I applied, and I was surprised to actually like go down because we had to do this whole interview. And so when it was like our first week, we were just pretty much introduced to the hospital environment. And I was selected to be in the neurostroke team, which is like where I was able to actually be with neurologists and actually seeing patients who had strokes. So let me see if I can, thank you. So I just pretty much gave them my background and how I was always interested in science, and I always had a desire to pursue the medical field, and the things that I was able to do at Dartmouth permitted me to not only talk with patients who were having strokes, I was able to actually be there while someone was having a stroke and able to see. It was kind of like give or take, for some people can be quite scary, but it's amazing how people have actually recovered, and I think that's the most beautiful thing of seeing how people recover from strokes. So actually down here, I just kind of acknowledge some of the people that I worked with because they were awesome. Being a high schooler and being in like, you know, a real world situation environment, they were just there for me for every step, and it was just amazing. So while also being able to be with other neurologists, I was also given the opportunity to actually shadow a neurosurgeon. So I was able to actually see 2 neurosurgeries for about 6 hours per per surgery, and it was actually an incredible experience. When I say, but they really put you into the environment, they really do.
Wow.
It's amazing. I really hope that they do it next year as well, so that like other people can really see just how incredible it is, because I met people who weren't even interested in the medical field, and they helped with actually like programming, illustration for some of the advertisements. Actually, I helped in with promoting stroke education. So while I was there, I was there for about a month. I was able to I learned how to spot a stroke and like the different symptoms and the different signs. So one of them, I actually helped the security team at Dartmouth Hitchcock to actually know how to spot one and what to do. So that whole process was pretty amazing. The fact that I was actually helping the whole hospital with knowing what to do in a situation like that. And I learned, of course, the different types of strokes, the causes of them, and what to do and the types of medication to give them. So, and like I learned that giving even a baby aspirin will actually help with different types of strokes. And this was actually, they're kind of small, but these are some of the images of what I did. I also helped with outside hospitals, including Littleton Hospital and Dartmouth, with this, it's like a transfer paper where they're able to send patients, and so there's not a loss of communication, so patients can get them like the most care that they can in a situation like that. And so some of these pictures are kind of small. You might not be able to see them, but this was also a different type of surgery that I saw, and this was in radiology. And this is called thrombectomy. So that was also an incredible experience because you get to see people with like a live X-ray, and they're actually taking out a clot from somebody's brain. So I got to see that.
Yay!
It's awesome. It was such a great experience. So,
That's great.
yeah. So I totally recommend it for anybody. I mean, I drove down there, even though it is pretty far.
Amazing.
It really changed my life, honestly.
I just wish you were more enthusiastic.
I know.
Yeah.
Just like,
Now, how did this
her.
come about in the beginning? You said it was referred to. How did it come about?
Oh, yeah. So I was actually taking a health science class here in Littleton, and my teacher told us, hey, there's this really good opportunity that Dartmouth is sponsoring. And I was like, well, I don't really know, but I'll see. And they literally chose me, and I was like, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you submitted your paperwork, then you had to go for an interview as well.
Yes. So there was a whole interview, and if you pass the interview, they did like this whole introduction where like they do all of your shots, immunizations, and all of that, and then from then on, you'd meet like your they called it your mentor, the person in your area that your site would actually just watch over you, and it was really cool.
Well, my daughter-in-law graduated from Littleton High School. She is now one of the top radiologists in Cheshire Medical, so go
Wow, that's
You can do it.
awesome. it
How long was the program? How many?
is it.
was about 6 weeks,
Okay.
so almost a month. So
You
yeah,
got a lot out of it in a short amount of time.
She did,
Yeah.
didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was also a paid internship, so they pretty much helped.
Awesome.
Yeah, literally. Not only on top of the experience, they gave me money to be there. So.
That's
awesome.
fantastic. Did you get to also see, like, because you mentioned radiology, did you also did you look at a lot of brain scans? Did you look at a lot of MRIs?
Oh,
Did you go through
Yeah.
that
So
process?
yeah, actually, it's pretty interesting. So rather just having a site, they showed us they called it rotating, where you would be with different neurologists, and they were residents. So you got to see every single part of MRIs to CT scans, and just to see the whole overview of, like, sometimes you'd see this the same type of patients. You would go in, sometimes carrying them into the MRI room. It was awesome. And also they brought us to DART, like the actual helicopter, and they showed us flight medicine. It was so cool.
Blow me away. Did you stay right down there?
No, so I
You
commuted.
drove back and forth.
Yeah.
Would you do it again? Maybe.
I would. I mean, for the experience, it was awesome. But I mean, I hope other people can do it too.
So I think I heard you say, did you go into surgery?
Yes, I did.
That's
Fantastic.
really awesome, isn't it?
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. The first time, they always say the first surgery is a little, like, you don't know how to react, but after the second one, I loved it. It sounds bad, but it
No, thank goodness there are people like you that do.
did.
Well,
That's
Naomi, I
great.
know this is an area of your interest. Did you get to choose? Or you
So
just get lucky and we're in that area?
they ask you where your preferences are and what you like to do if you're interested in the medical field, or if you like, let's say, if you like designing, they'll put you to the area most similar to you. And I asked for neurology, and they gave me the neurology stroke team, so it was more specialized. Yeah.
So you applied for schools?
For colleges?
Yeah.
So I actually enlisted into the Air Force, and I plan on possibly using this. I would like to be like a flight surgeon, flight medicine.
Yeah. Nice.
That's fantastic.
That's
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
thrilled
you
for you.
very
What a
much
great
for
opportunity.
coming.
Now, will this be on display somewhere in the school?
We can. This
Yeah, we
is the
can
first I've seen this, so.
Oh, really?
Well, when we just confirmed with Naomi, she asked if she could bring, some visuals, so.
Yeah.
Love
this is
it.
great.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, I would totally go in depth, but we were, so like the last day that we were in Dartmouth, we actually did this whole symposium, as they call it, where we all presented our different projects, and I showed mine, and we were there about an hour and a half, so it was awesome.
Wow.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Well,
It's really good.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
So
for
glad you
coming.
had that
Thank you.
opportunity.
Enlightening.
Obviously got a lot out of it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
in 6 weeks.
Besides the fact that she's beaming.
I'm still moving. It was over like
That's so
2 months
awesome.
ago.
That's terrific.
2 months ago, oh.
Yeah, about 2 months ago it was.
So I know you're extremely organized and plan things out. When do you hope to reach your goal of being a surgeon?
Well,
Because I don't know if I'll be around, but we want to bring you back.
Oh, come on.
How long I wanted to hear.
10 years, figure 10 years.
yeah, let alone,
Service time and everything else.
yeah, because I mean, I would like to go through medical school through the Air Force, and it would be a little bit, take a little bit longer than average, but probably about 15 years. I know it's big, but you know, it's what I want to do, so.
Right, yeah.
So 50 years here.
You may have a point.
Well, she can
Yeah.
get there because we have another student who went into the service and is now a doctor.
Really?
Mhm.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
Inspiration.
So you have a great attitude, and that's half of it,
Yes.
so.
Thank
that's
you.
good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. So you want me to,
Let's just we'll move that right over here.
okay,
Maybe that's a take your poster. Thank you, Nate.
thank you.
So you know the display cases,
Sorry, what?
the display cases outside health science?
Oh, yeah, we could.
Oh, yeah, that would be nice.
Under glass, so no one can play around with it.
In the, outside of the health science.
Oh, that'd be awesome. We
Yeah.
need to upgrade those.
They need to have lights in them.
More posters. Yeah.
Museum lights.
No, just with.
Well, thank you again.
Well, thank you so
I'm
much.
so glad you had
Thanks for
that.
coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to
Thank
stay
you.
if you want.
Thank
And
you.
you look very nice tonight. too.
Yes,
Oh, thank you
do.
very much.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Have a good night.
So you want to do that?
Oh, she's doing adorable.
This is sure to be delightful.
Yeah. I mean, I can.
Well,
Yeah, how do you top that?
Now what do we do?
any public input?
Any public, any of them?
Hearing none. Approval of the minutes of September 16th, please.
So,
Second.
Oh, excuse me. Do we have the recorder on?
oh, is that all?
I didn't turn that on.
Yeah, that's
Greg's
Greg's job.
not here, that's his.
So now it's
thing.
Heather's
All
job.
right, never mind.
You're gonna have it on here, so.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay, she can get it from now. I don't know how to push a button to on, but. That's okay.
It's pretty, it's
Technical difficulties, please stand by.
okay.
Dale.
Sure.
Approval of the minutes of the budget work session on September 30th.
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, the manifests are going around. Jerry, the treasurer's report.
I have the treasurer's report, if you people have it on your computers.
Yep.
Pretty self-explanatory there. We're still feeling the effects of that sequestration, as you can see halfway down the page.
Yep.
Yes, the budget's been reduced, or the money is being reduced by 6.2%. Okay, the rest of it comes out real good, and everything balances out. I do have a question for Dr. Niles, and that was in the Union Leader last week about the budget,
Yeah.
the state budget, and it said something about Lisbon and Littleton getting about $800,000. Do you
In the
know
buy-in.
anything about that?
Yeah, in the buy-in between this year and next year, And that's based on stabilization, returning to 2016 levels, and then some increased funds based on property values and free and reduced lunches and those types of things. So a little over 200,000 of that will flow as revenue into this current school year. And then next year, a little over 500,000 will be additional revenue in the 2021 fiscal year.
Yeah, now how can you spend that?
Carefully. Frankly, the money that's coming into this year's budget is, without a special meeting and basically re-going over the budget and appropriation, that money this year will just flow in as revenue and will reduce the tax rate, at least the amount of taxes that need to be raised locally to support the budget, so that's a good thing. And so this year, unless the board acts otherwise, that's what will happen. Next year, and I think every district, is saying some of the same things as I think were quoted in that particular article as well. It's, at this point, it's one-time money. It's built off of state surplus funds. So I think that there's quite a bit of caution being urged that those funds, particularly for next year, go toward projects that are more capital oriented. If you start adding programs or hiring people with those funds, they may not be available for the following year.
Okay.
So that'll be a balancing act for the board to look at, how some of those funds may be used and how they may not be used to simply flow as revenue and back into reduce the reliance on the local property tax. And I think it's a small step toward some of the huge inequities that exist within the current structure of financing public schools, which falls heavily upon the backs of the local taxpayers.
Yeah, it is a small step, but it's kind
But
of
it's
a
a step.
baby step.
And
Yeah,
it's better than
and
nothing.
better than nothing. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that'll be reflected in some of these reports
It will be.
in the future.
Yeah,
Okay, that'll be that's my report.
okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
So the next item on the agenda is a budget adjustment approval.
As the document in your folder indicates, it exceeds $7,500. It requires board approval because we're moving it from one account to another. And Dale, if he wants to speak to the discuss at facilities committee and different things, but what we're trying to do with the fund.
What's on there, what is it, $9,000 from the academy account? to the
Yes,
high school account?
yeah,
Okay.
right.
That was to repair the doors on School Street,
Right,
but there was money in the academy line.
Right.
Is there one in there for technology too?
No,
Yeah.
it's just to move the 9,000 out of the academy budget over into the high school budget to address the doors and also graduation stairs.
Correct.
Those two items.
so you might just explain, Dale,
Sure.
about the school doors, how they're rusted and stuff,
Sure.
where they're located.
Sure, so top of School Street entrance closest to the band room, which was put in 2003. The actual framing has started to rust, so it doesn't secure properly, especially in the heat. The door will swell and it'll catch. So we've only had one vendor so far, another vendor scheduled to come this week to look at it, to give us a quote.
Okay,
So, but it's a safety. It was brought up at the safety meeting, the district safety meeting.
okay. And I think when you brought it up to the facilities meeting, there was only one vendor at that time?
Correct.
And, the remaining money for the graduation stairs, have we got that all figured out, or?
Well, that's gonna be a combination of facilities, the administration budget, and also the drama budget is gonna pay for the.
How much was that?
I think it was $57.91, I think we called it $5,800.
Something like that, I think.
But drama says that they could use it instead of building. stairs yearly that they do. So, combination.
So I think we need a motion to do this budget adjustment of $9,000. I believe is the total amount. Anybody?
Would you like to do it?
Go ahead.
Make a motion to transfer $9,000 from the operations line for building repairs for the academy to the high school to replace the School Street door and use the remaining money for graduation stairs.
Do you hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next thing on the agenda is Lakeway informational meeting updates. We've held 2 public meetings in September 11th and September 18th. And I guess it was, if you totaled up the 2 meetings, it was probably 32 or 35 people.
Yeah, the first one was really well attended.
Yeah, and I think the board will take some of the considerations that were mentioned, and we'll plan to have another one sometime in perhaps January, closer to the budget and the deliberative session, to see what we do with Liquid. For now.
Okay.
So, Kim, you said you MOU with the town of Littleton.
I did hear from Chris today. He and Andrew are having trouble getting together. So he has asked for a little more time.
Okay,
So
so we'll just table this
table it
for a future meeting.
until they have that opportunity.
Okay. Okay, under new business, is the 2021 budget process discussion. I know on October 14th, we're gonna hear from Daisy Bronson, Littleton High School, Career and Tech, and the SAU
On Monday,
14th.
every Monday, yeah.
Anything else to add to that, Steve?
No, I think, we'll have, Tom will do additional work on the budget to give us a little better beginning point. We had a little stab at it the other day, but that was, had some things, some adjustments that need to be made, so.
Okay.
We'll have that in better shape for that particular meeting.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So, October 1st enrollment numbers. We have that.
Yeah, there's a couple of documents, one, for the, K-6, the other 712. K-6, there's 335 students. Then in our grades 7 through 12, middle school, high school, there's 336, which gives us a total of 671 students, which is roughly about 10 students below where we were
Last year.
last year at this time.
Okay.
We're pretty close to projections, unfortunately, which are for slightly lower enrollment numbers.
Steve, I'm just looking through some budget binders that I have, and we had a NESDEC, information from NESDEC, was it last year or the year
Yeah,
before?
I think we should be getting another
Do
one.
we get another one every year?
Yeah,
Okay.
my
Mine
understanding,
was,
go ahead.
mine was 2018, I think, was the last.
That's the one. It was 2018.
Yes,
I think I was talking with Patty the other day, and she asked to provide them with some numbers or something.
yes, they requested that last week.
Yeah,
You said
So we should be getting it.
they'll be
fairly
doing
soon.
that. Yep.
Okay, personnel. Going right along here.
We have a map.
Yep, we don't have anything to report at this point.
So, facilities. I asked Greg to report on this, but since he's late, I guess I get the job. Underneath the old business, the rock walls, phase 1 is in progress, and we're supposed to get a recommendation to be back by January of 2020 in the next phase.
They will do their best to do it by January, yes.
Okay, and the inspections for the bleachers and hoops are scheduled for the 15th for all three schools. And then we just transferred the money for the school street doors. Hammer Down has been selected for the 1920 winter season for plowing. And you reprioritize the remaining projects of the 5-year facilities plan.
Yes.
Okay. And then you talked about energy savings proposal. Can you mention that? Dale, you spoke with Tom at Water and Light. Would like to be part of the discussions.
Yeah, so a vendor had reached out to Steve last fall and directed him to me, and we started talking about how we could, look at performance contracting, which basically would stabilize our cost per year. There's no money up front. It's usually funded by a third party. There's some concerns regarding the solar and how much it would truly save us, which was the conversation with Tom. And so it's really in the infant stages, but we have a couple more vendors that are interested in presenting and talking about it. So on October 21st or 22nd.
22nd for training.
22nd, yeah, for training. They're gonna meet for just an informational session. They're not bringing a proposal, they're just gonna explain how it works. So if anybody's welcome to come to get some information on it.
Yeah. And then Corrigan Construction is looking at further entrance improvements over here at the SAU.
Yeah, the wall right there into Patty's office would be,
Oh, okay.
the bottom half would be sheetrocked and the top half would be enclosed with a pass-through window.
Yeah.
For safety. And then this door going into that hallway would be replaced with more of a heavy-duty construction door, as opposed to a household door.
Okay.
So,
All right, and I think that's about it for now. Policy committee met. We have policies on GADA, G-A-D-A. That is employment references and verification. That's a new policy on this priority, and you should have it on your drive. So that's for first reading and adoption tonight. Policy JFABD is education of homeless children and unaccompanied youth. I think we had a policy back in 2013, but there's a newer edition that has come up. And that policy is for a first read and adoption tonight. And basically the changes were reflecting the McKinney-Vento Act and requirements regarding transportation of homeless students, and then how we deal with disputes regarding enrollment or transportation of homeless students. Policy EHB is data records retention. We are doing a first read and adoption tonight. There was some changes because we had done this again last year in 2018, but this is reflecting House Bill 1551, letting us know when we can destroy special education records within a reasonable time after a student's 26th birthday, but no later than the 30th year. I think it was 6 years last time. Unless the student parents or guardians require them to be destroyed earlier. It's also been modified to include pertaining to digital or electronic records. So those are the changes in that one. Policy JLF is reporting child abuse or neglect. We did this one in 2013 and I guess 2018. So this is another priority policy and we've changed that one. too. So I guess we should hear a motion to accept.
Millie, did you have time to?
Oh, I was looking at something else, hold on. Oh. I make the motion that we're doing the first read for GADA and employment references and verification, and
EHB
yeah, EHB, data records retention, first read
and adoption.
and adoption. And the next one,
The next one's for first reading.
Yeah. that's it.
Second.
You think- You caught me off guard.
All in favor? Motion carries. Okay, I guess superintendent's report.
Okay, Jen, I want to make sure that I shared with you, and she's talked about it a little bit already before, but NEASC is coming. That visit will start November 4th, so just a few weeks away, and I know they're working pretty hard to put the final touches on that, but this has been a 1.5-year process, so a lot of the work has been done. Some of the things that the team observed when they were here last spring, and that's at the school address in terms of a formal school improvement plan and a few other items. I know they've worked hard on and have that ready to go. So and again, these accreditation visits follow a constituent stakeholder interview model. And some of you were involved in that earlier, but they look at all the information that a school is producing about the things that they're doing, but then they talk to various groups. They'll talk to parent groups, they'll talk to the board, they'll talk to administration, they'll talk to students, they'll talk to teachers, other employees, and to validate and to verify and to hear from each of those groups the things that are happening. So that in a nutshell is what will happen during the days of that, few days that the team is here, starting on the 4th of November. And I think, again, the things are in very good shape for that and should be very successful. Cost of Education Study Group is nearing its end of its work. It will meet tomorrow. And again, Thursday, we have a document that's shared and in process of being edited among all the members of the group. And so I think the hope is that there'll be something to present to the board in the very near future coming from that group. We talked a little bit about the state budget already and the budget compromise agreement and the additional funds that will, again, I think at least initially go toward the revenue side of things and lower the amount of local effort required, at least for a year and maybe into next year. So that's a good step forward, as we said before, but certainly a lot more work needs to be done. I attended last week the Kidder Law Conference, as did Kim, and that's a conference every year that the group that's sponsored through the School Superintendent Association and the School Boards Association. And again, we went to several sessions. A lot of work on that I went to involved privacy issues, student privacy issues. How to, and I know the FERPA policy is one that the policy committee is going to be working on next. Making sure that we're very, very careful about how we retain student records, how we share student records, and now with the explosion of social media and everything else, with more video surveillance and those kinds of things, there's certainly some implications there in terms of policy and practice that we need to pay attention. So that was an important piece of the conference that I heard. I think that and I've already followed up with a few of our service providers as well, like our bus service, for instance, to make sure that we're compliant there with the things that I heard at that conference. Kim, I don't know if you want to add anything to sessions.
I went to that one
Same
last.
one.
That was the one I went to last,
That was
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, and the first one I went to was a legislative update, which there are over 300 pieces of legislation that were passed, and about half of them involve the schools in some form or fashion. So they hit on the 5 that have the greatest impact, and we'll be seeing some more updates on policy pretty soon. And I thought that was great. There was also I went to one that was given by Barrett Christina about school board and superintendent relationships. And I was kind of disappointed. I have to admit, I'm gonna give Barrett some feedback on it too. I think it didn't really delve into the dynamic between superintendents and school boards. It just kind of he did a great job giving kind of theoretical problems that have come up and having general discussion, but nothing really to talk about how you continue to build on that relationship. So, but overall, I had a good experience and learned a lot.
Yeah, they always, I haven't gone to one of these yet, but there's, the two recurring themes always are working with employees on improvement, making sure the policies and procedures are followed with employment evaluation, those kinds of things, working to support employees. And then the other one that's always a big one is the privacy.
Right.
Continually ongoing, evolving field that changes a little bit with time, certainly as certain new factors come into play.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you.
Mhm.
So, I need a motion to go into non-public.
You got it just in time, Greg.
There you go.
You weren't here to take your job seriously, boy.
Oh, you did, no, just wait till later. Okay. I'd like to hear a motion.
All right, I'm getting there.
Okay.
You'd think I'd have it memorized by now.
I know,
All right, I'll make a motion to enter into non-public session under paragraph 2, section 3 of the RSA 91A:3 of the right to know law for number 3, matters which if discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the board. Number 2, the hiring of any person as a public employee. Any other?
what about that last thing that's in there about legal?
We don't need to do that.
We don't,
I'm happy to say, yeah.
okay.
All right, so taking with us the superintendent. And that looks like that's it. tonight.
Yep. Slim
I think
pickings.
so.
So, need a second.
Second,
All in favor, roll call vote.
Greg Cook,
Millie Nelson.
And we get Kim Whitson.
Good.
Okay,
thank you. And apologies for being late.
no problem.
Thank you.
Missed a good presentation.